And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Another exciting episode of So That's It, is it?
The Federal Reserve, it propagandizes just in its name because it's not part of the federal government, but because it's called the Federal Reserve, a lot of people think that, oh, they must have some kind of, moral authority, or they must be somehow connected with our democracy or our republic, or full of elected officials who are there for a reason or who deserve to be there. But no, it's just like a private banking cartel that calls itself the Federal Reserve and therefore kind of gives itself this false legitimacy.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of reminds me how the Vikings called Greenland Greenland in order to get like people to move there.
Oh yeah.
When you go to Greenland, anything can be called something. You give it a name, and that name shades the thing that you name in a certain way, and it can be very manipulating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone does it.
Like the Ministry of Love.
Yes. Like the Ministry of Love.
Yes. Yeah. It's very kind of Orwellian, and I mean, you see that a lot. Like they have the Employee Free Choice Act.
Oh, right.
Which is basically a union bill, and it's like, oh, it's free choice. It's not really free choice. I mean, it's like you don't really have a say in what, if that law would have passed.
Perfect example, the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
And, if you don't vote for the Patriot Act, then, hey, you're not a patriot.
Yeah.
And living here in D.C., I'm surrounded by all these, think tanks, and they all have these names that sound so pro-American. They're everywhere. There's, the American Enterprise Institute, the Foundation for Defense of Democracy, Center for a New American Security, Center for American Freedom, blah, blah, blah.
The thing is, and
they all sound the same. They all sound very patriotic.
But here's the thing, and this is what's disgusting about that whole thing. They know that regardless of whatever they, whether it's something that I agree with or something I don't agree with, what I don't agree with is we're going to name this something that's going to be completely proud to be an American kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and therefore that with a name like that, you imply that what you do is going to be good for Americans.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you give it this name that makes it sound so legit, as if it's some kind of department in the American government or something, when it's not. It's just some guy who had this idea of I could really peddle my influence around this city if I just have some PAC or some organization, name it the American Enterprise Institute, name it the Foundation for Defense of Democracies or whatever, and then I'll get interviewed on Fox News, or I'll get interviewed on CNN or whatever, and I'm the president of the Center for American Freedom.
Yeah.
And you look at some of these organizations, and it's obviously some guy that basically is running this out of his basement sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so shady and so shitty,
Yeah, but then, talk about propaganda. Sometimes you give it a name like that, and these people get interviewed on national news shows sometimes, and always promoting, some kind of agenda, oftentimes militaristic, expansionist, whatever. And if people could just see what these organizations were behind all the veneer of their pompous name, I think they would really think twice about even listening to them when they spouted out their bullshit on television.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if I've just been conditioned. I've conditioned myself, or however it is. But whenever I see something that is so over the top patriotic, it's I don't trust it. I mean,
and you shouldn't.
In the same way that the song "Proud to Be an American" by Lee Green was kind of really, this song just
right,
sucks.
really kind of saccharine. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like,
that's the thing. If there was, I'm not saying there is. I'm not like a huge conspiracy theorist, but if there was like some alien organization or some KGB cell in the United States who wanted to take over or who wanted to disseminate their own views or whatever, wouldn't they name themselves the Center for New American Security? They're not gonna name themselves the diabolical wing of the KGB.
yeah. And this is where, like, I really, the diabolical wing of the KGB, it's only diabolical if you look at it from our end.
Mm-hmm.
From the Russian standpoint, we're using the Russian as the boogeyman here, just because it's kind of,
Oh, right. No. Yeah, I don't intend to at all. In fact, I'm using KGB. That's like kind of a Soviet Cold War era.
Yes.
I'm
Because
not
there was a massive
demonizing
propaganda. They went so far as to change their name.
Hey, see, we're talking about changing names. They did it.
That's actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back off the tangent. That's actually another propaganda move. It's like, well, okay, that didn't work. Like, this has a completely negative connotation. If we call it something else, we can still keep going under the same MO, but people will, not, it's like, no, that's not KGB. That's the new Russian government. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think anything ever truly goes away. I just think it changed its name,
Yeah.